time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hi, guys. Welcome back, and look who I have here with me today. I'm always so excited. Hi, Emily.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. I have a lot of feelings about this episode. I have some thoughts. I don't know. I've got feelings about this whole season. I can't wait to be here to talk to you. I'm geeked. I'm excited to be talking about Housewives, and I've got coffee, and I'm purple, and it's purple, and we're just ready to chat.
We're just ready to chat. And guys, I just want to say a huge congratulations to Emily D. Baker because she hit her 100,000 subs. If you guys are on my side of the spectrum over here and you weren't quite understanding why Emily D. Baker decided to go with the purple hair, it was because it was a milestone change. And I'm just so proud and happy for you. And not only did you hit 100, you just went up to 114,000. This is crazy.
It's crazy. We've gained since last Monday. So what, 7, 8, like in under 10 days, almost 15,000. I think by 10 days out from 100K, we'll be up 15,000 subscribers. It's been bananas, but it's been a blessing. The Law Nerds are such a great community, and we talk about so many different topics that it really does pull in new communities. So we have Bravo watchers. We have people who now had watched the Duggars and want to see the legal coverage on that. People who were interested in YouTube drama and want to follow the Toddy Westbrook and James Charles and David Dobrik of it all. And then all the Britney fans, the heavy crossover with Britney and Bravo, which I love. I'm like, my people, hello. We are here to talk about pop culture. And I love it. I was out to dinner last night with another YouTuber and some other friends who happened to be in Nashville for something else. It's the first time I've been out to dinner with like not my immediate family in a very long time.
You're doing YouTube social hours now?
A little bit. It's an old, Sean Cannell's an old friend from years ago before my channel ever blew up. So it was nice to sit down and get to have dinner and chat. But one of the other members in the group was like, can we talk about Atlanta? I'm like, can we please? And people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we're going to scoot over here. Don't worry about us. And that's what it's like when you find your people that want to talk about the shows that you watch. It's like, come closer. Everyone else can you guys can go. We've got a moment to have. Have you been dying over this?
Oh my gosh.
I haven't had a chance to catch up on the coverage because the lawsuits have been like galloping this week, and I haven't had a chance to catch up. So can we do quick thoughts and then get into?
Yeah, Jersey? Of course.
Are people pregnant?
Oh my gosh, I don't think so. But before we jump into that though, because I'm definitely down with touching on that subject, can you just tell me where we're hanging our silver plaque?
Oh, I think we're going to put it there.
Okay.
But maybe there. It's going to go in one of these two windows.
But it will be on display. We get to see it.
On display.
Okay.
Every day.
I'm digging this. Okay, guys. Yes, we can touch briefly on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Before we do, go ahead, smash that like button, show some love, and thank you to all the Law Nerds who joined us today. You guys are the best, and I just appreciate you guys coming over to this side just to engage in some housewife conversation. As far as the Real Housewives of Atlanta, on my side, everyone knows I did an interview with Fallon Gobadia. Since then, we've been texting, and I've just sent out all of my love to her only because I'm a product of 9 divorces. She has a full family. She has 3 sons, and she was a part of a blended family. They were only together for a year and a half. And something about this just feels dirty. On The Real Housewives of Atlanta, when they introduced Fallon Gobadia, even though producers were knocking on her door for over 3 seasons, trying to get her to come onto the show because I
didn't know that. This is why I want to hear your tea on it, because I've seen like Twitter, but I haven't gotten to dive into it. And it just, something hits so weird. It's like, what is happening? It puts you off balance. It is.
And you know, one of my biggest, I think, not annoyances, but something that bothered me the most was, you know, there were a lot of fans who were speculating that Fallon was in on this with Simon in order to get a storyline for not only the new season for Portia, but also to get Fallon on the show. I just wanted to make it very clear. If Fallon wanted that peach in the upcoming season, she's already friends with Kenya. They were knocking on her door for a few seasons. She had the private jet. She had the big, beautiful mansion. She didn't need to put her man on loan in order to get on the show. And what feels dirty about this to me is Portia Williams came out, and I'm not blaming Portia. I've gotten so much shit for this. I'm not blaming Portia. It takes two to tango. But Portia came out on the show and introduced Fallon as Portia's friend. That's what the title said on Bravo.
Yeah.
Portia and Tanya Sam showed up at Fallon's house for her little pool day, and then they came to her Halloween party. Well, at least Portia did. It feels dirty. And now Simon Gobadia is trying to allude to the fact that Fallon was allegedly cheating. Who knows? I wasn't with her, obviously. I'm not in her sheets. I don't know what's going on. But the point is, he's trying to paint that she was cheating. And not only that, you know, he filed for divorce in January. Him and Portia are saying that they've only been together for a month and now she's engaged. You're a mother. I'm not. I have a question.
Yeah, ask me.
Okay. So say, God forbid, something happened with you and your husband, which it never will, and you decide to date this new man. Are you going to bring him around your kids after 1 month?
I mean, I can never step into somebody else's shoes. It depends. If they were in their 30s, then maybe. Then it might be like, hey, these are my adult children and they can make up their own mind. With younger children, I would be more on the Teresa Giudice spectrum of, I will talk about this person, but you're not going to meet them until I make sure what their intentions are. And I think that's doubled down on if you're in the public eye, because there's just more room for malfeasance or for people to be opportunistic. So I think the level of caution needs to go up about a 10 if you're in the public eye and moving quickly on something. We've seen these housewife hoppers, right? We've seen this on other Orange County. We've seen it with Slade. We've seen housewife hoppers before. It's just, it just felt so fast and so disrespectful to me. It's like, if you have been married to somebody, you can be low key for a little bit, just out of common decency and respect. I don't think there's any reason not to. It's not as if this is a Jason Hoppy, Bethany divorce that's been going on for 7 years and she's finally free and can get engaged, and still waited till her divorce was final, by the way, to get engaged. Even though she went through a 7-year divorce, nobody would have faulted her if she was engaged a year ago. Right. So I think it feels fast. I don't know why I don't know what's happening with it. It's crazy to me. So I appreciate your insight too on that. It's just, it feels, and then to have it so social. And is Atlanta filming right now or something? Is there a reason this all needs to be so public right now? Could it have waited?
It definitely could have waited. I want to bring this up really quick so I don't miss it. Dorit Frank, best regards to Pops. Hope he is doing well. Thank you, Dorit. I appreciate you. Yes, he will be back on tomorrow, and he is a spitfire. He will be back. And thank you for the super chat. No, you know, they are going to start filming soon, but before they start any housewife seasons, they go around to all of the housewives and they want to know what is current in your life and what are you looking forward to, what's coming up. I mean, obviously this engagement is huge news for Portia, and a lot of the housewives have opinions. Marlo Hampton thinks it's grimy. Kenya Moore posted on Fallon Gobadia's statement that she posted yesterday saying, thank you guys to all of the love and support. I feel stronger after, you know, hearing from you guys pretty much, and just saying that, you know, I'm still navigating my divorce. Sincerely, Fallon.
Yeah, because it's been a hot second. I mean, if that was filed in January, that divorce isn't going to be final.
Well, my question was
6 months to a year.
You would know this. My question was, because Portia put out in her statement, she's like, Fallon is not my friend. You know, just to let you know, like, Simon and I have worked on ourselves individually before we got into this relationship. We're in love.
In a month? In a month? This is like the Rachel Hollis school of like, it's been a month. We're good. We've done, moved on. It's like, what is that?
When she spoke out before Fallon spoke out, and Fallon confirmed that they are not done, you know, finalizing their divorce. And when Portia spoke out about it, I was like, maybe he had this sort of ironclad prenup that just said, hey, God forbid something happens, you get this, I get this, we're done. There's no questions asked. And I was like, well, I'm not a lawyer, but maybe that would be the only case, because I mean,
best case, that's still 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Even if it's super clean, it's still 6 to 8 months.
See, and not only that, you know, now he has other women who are coming out and they're DMing. Of course, there's so many Bravo, you know, fan pages that really follow the gossip and what's going on so closely. And just like I do, I try to be very careful when I get DMs about what's going on in people's personal lives to not just put it out there, because sometimes you have fans who either they want the acknowledgement Bravo fans, so they want you to post them even though they might be making something up, or sometimes it's just too dirty for me. I can't really engage in it. But, you know, there were DMs of this blonde woman who's sitting inside of his Ferrari, has his jacket in her lap. This was just months ago. So where have you been, Simon Gobadia? That's my whole point. And Portia, this is, okay, girl, we know that you were, as Kenya says, murdered in these sheets. Somebody's, you know what, was murdered in these sheets. We know you were hooking up with Bolo. Bolo is a very beautiful man, like very fit. He's a good-looking guy, male stripper. Simon Gobadia is a much older man, but his bank account, I'm sure, is much larger than Bolo's. He has $20 million in the bank, and I think fans are alluding to the fact that maybe this might be a sort of, it's not might be, it would be a huge come up for Portia. I know that you were asking, though, about the pregnancy. I think that was just, I like to call it like, I mean, I don't want to be. Were those conspiracy speculations? Aren't they? Well, she was wearing kind of like a muumuu thing, right? Like a dress that just flares out. And it's, I mean, I never speculate on whether people are pregnant or not, because you never know what their journey is. And until they tell you, you don't know what's going on. It could be a burrito. Like, you never know. You know, like, how awful would it feel to be a woman on social media who may have gained the quarantine 5 or quarantine 15, and then you go on and people are like, oh, she's pregnant. That would make no, just terrible. Wine, thanks. Yeah, great. No, I have the Morena or whatever it's called. Yep. I had my first pregnancy outed by a coworker, and it did not feel good at all. And that was just within work. And that was just within a small group at work, but I was not ready to tell people. And it's one of those things, when you are not ready to tell something that's deeply, deeply, intimately personal, having somebody else be like, oh, this is what it is, and wanting to tell everybody, it does not feel good at all. So that I was like, what is going on with that? And I hadn't followed it very closely, but it seemed fast. It just, to me, seems a little tacky to announce an engagement when a divorce isn't final. I mean, if you have to say for some reason you got photographed together, yes, we're starting to hang out and we are exploring that privately. Thank you for your privacy. But and is that your friend's man? Like, come on. Well, she said they're not friends, but it was interesting to see Dennis McKinley posted up right next to them. And she's like, you know, it's great to see two men who are supporting each other and willing to co-parent and this. And I'm thinking, that was Dennis's friend. This is all so grimy. I don't blame Portia. Everyone was going after me because they're like, why don't you go after the man? The fact is, you know, Simon Gobadia, up until this point, he was not a real public figure. He's a businessman, but he wasn't really out there publicly for people to scrutinize. And yes, right, it takes two to tango, but at the end of the day, I don't really care about these two. I feel the worst for Fallon. I feel like, honestly, I just want to see her show up with this beautiful man who's much younger, who's got it all together, who has the money, who's just sexy as hell. And I want her to show up to the new season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta and be like, bam. Or she might not even need a man. I want her to show up confident, grab that peach, and when she runs into Portia and Simon, be like, you can have him, girl. I just want to see that, you know? Yeah. I want to see the underdog come out on top. That's what would feel good to me. It's got to feel awful knowing that you're going to have to go into filming a season if you're still dealing with the emotional fallout of a divorce, and now a public, like your spouse is moving on very publicly before you're even done being divorced, and knowing you have to show up as like the best version of yourself. I think that would be a lot of pressure. I think that'd be a lot. So I agree with you. Anyway, well, Jersey. I say let's segue into another relationship, because we started off this finale, or lack thereof, of a finale. I mean, with Teresa Giudice. She waited 4 years after her kind of situation with Joe Giudice to bring a new man into the situation, even though girl was busted with another man in Miami. She didn't really ever talk about it. He was much younger, and obviously that didn't go anywhere. She said that they were just acquaintances. He was teaching her about pineapples. He was teaching her about pineapples. That is what it is. But we met Louis Ruelas finally, and I kind of think he's a creep. I have not gone into his background. The things that kind of creeped me out about this is Teresa's voice completely changed when she was with him. Yeah. She had a completely different voice. So this put on of this like
higher pitched, lighter, less empowered voice was very odd to me and put me off very much. The first thing I was like, why are you playing this, Teresa? You're a strong woman. Why are you like, oh, hi, baby. You're a fucking adult. God, what is happening? And then when he wants to make out with her on camera and like claim his territory, I'm like, her outfit though smashed. Like her outfit slapped for me. She looked amazing.
She looked beautiful. But the point is, the guy's like, first of all, I want to point out one thing. When I saw this man on Instagram and I saw his photos that surfaced with him and Teresa, I was like, damn, this is a beautiful man. Like, good for you, Teresa. You landed a good-looking guy. And he's still a good-looking guy, but Facetune is a mother. You know what I mean?
Facetune is the real bitch in all of this.
Facetune will get you, because when I saw him in person, I was like, well, not in person, but on TV, I was like, it looks like the same guy, but a lot of this looks very Facetune when we get the photos of it. So now I'm kind of understanding a little bit more. Facetune takes about 10 years off your life, I feel. Betty Boop, I don't want to ignore your super sticker. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like button, show some love. But as far as this guy, I felt like he was like salivating over Teresa at dinner. She's smitten. He's apparently allegedly a sex addict. I wouldn't necessarily know what that was unless I had a person in my family who's also experienced the same thing. So I guess it is a very real thing, being a sex addict. I didn't know. But then you think about like people who do like the kind of crazy stuff in the bedroom where they tie each other up and stuff. So I guess maybe they might be sex addicts too. I don't know. The point is,
I think there's a difference, but we would go down a very different route. But I think there's a difference between sex, like compulsive sex addiction, and like kink, and having your, like, getting your freak on in a safe, mature, consensual relationship. I think the sex addiction is more like I am compulsively doing this. It is not okay if we don't do this. If I can't get it here, I'll find it somewhere else. It becomes like a compulsive behavior that can be problematic the same way any other addiction can affect your life. Where, you know, if people want to get kinky, it's like, I'm like, yeah, enjoy, friends. But I worry it felt like a little bit of like love bombing where he is, and I don't know if that is just putting on for the cameras, if he's not comfortable on the cameras, if he wants to, you know, dig at Joe watching over in Italy and just be like, look at me treating your woman right. I don't know what that is. It was very cringe. It felt very forced. And then him in this like love bombing role of like all encompassing with her, and then her defaulting into this like more immature, light voice, like this higher voice, worries me about the dynamic with the two of them. But
well, and not to mention, we talked about this before, but his ex was bringing him to court because he kicked her, his ex-fiance, out of their house. And she came out and said, and it wasn't just her, it was her and a past relationship too. They both came out and said if they didn't perform the sexual favors that he was asking, if they weren't ready when he was ready, then he would punish them for it. And it kind of just gives you that little bit of a creepy, creepy vibe. I don't know. Just even that smirk. I don't want to say who I'm thinking of. The person is no longer on this earth and is being heavily investigated, but he just gives me that look with that weird kind of like Cheshire cat grin. I'm like, you throw me off a little bit. There's something off. I don't know what it is. And we haven't seen enough of the guy to say anything. I'm sure, you know, we saw him on Watch What Happens Live last night, and I'm sure we're going to see him on the new season. They just bought a $3.5 million home together. So we will see him. I
think we will. And I also trust... I really like Teresa's daughters. They've been through a lot. And so it'll be interesting to see how her daughters respond. And so far, her daughters seem to be happy for her. So I hope that her daughters continue to kind of have an eye out. It's not their job, but they have definitely, especially Gia, has taken on that role of almost being like a peer to her mom, which is a whole different dynamic for a whole different conversation. But I hope that she will continue to have that support of them. And if they weren't supportive of the relationship, that Teresa would listen, unlike, you know, a Vicky Gumbelson who's fighting with her daughter over a relationship with Brooks. So I hope that we would see Teresa listening to her daughters if they get red flags.
Story of my life. I feel like I had to chase off so many step parents in my day. I was like, Mom, that guy's a male chauvinistic pig. Dad, she's a psychopath. Like,
red flags.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, they were coming out of nowhere. And sometimes, you know, you're, as an adult, you know, having someone show you that sort of affection and love, you know, it's hard to look past because you don't always find people like that who just like, it seems like this man is very catering to whatever Teresa needs. And not only that, girl was in prison, and she wants that affection and that physical time. She's made it clear. She says that she needs to kind of have that intimacy. So, you know, she's still a human being. And I think that he obviously provides that if these allegations about him being a sex addict are true. It's just crazy. And I thought it was interesting too to hear that Joe Giudice was crying and he was upset because for the first time he experienced his ex-wife with another man. He met up with them in the Bahamas. He met this man in person. He saw how he acted.
I have not heard any of this. I'm listening to all the things.
Oh, really? You didn't know this?
No, I didn't. I have been swamped under lawsuits.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know all the tea. That's why I come to have these chats to hear the things. He went to the Bahamas with them?
Yeah, Joe Giudice is now living in the Bahamas and he's working. He's doing a couple little business ventures down there. And it's a easier, closer location, I guess, for the girls to come down and fly to. So
they might let him have citizenship. So that would be good.
Yeah. See? And Teresa and Luis Ruelas brought his boys and also all of the girls to come meet up with Joe. Joe didn't bring his girlfriend, even though he has one. And they all met up and, you know, had family dinner and spent a vacation together. And Joe said that he likes this guy for Teresa, which having him say that, you know, Joe could honestly be an absolute asshole. He could if he wanted to. But at this point, why? You had this woman went to prison for you. She paid off your restitution. He acts like, you know, like the house is your mom's because she paid off the restitution. So it's hers. I don't care what you do with it. But at the end of the day, really, she's made the most money in the cleanest way and the right way. What are you honestly going to say, Joe Giudice? You just kind of have to go with the flow. She has to move on. You have to move on. It's never going to happen, you know?
And this is the mother of your children, and they deserve to see her treated with respect from men, from all men.
And a healthy relationship, if in fact it is.
Yep. Well, you said you were bringing up male chauvinist. So we have to just talk about Joe.
Margaret and Joe.
And Margaret not letting it go. And
I think she's right.
I mean, yeah, she's right. But also, when your friend knows that, do you just keep calling it on the carpet?
I mean,
Melissa's aware. It's not like Melissa's not aware. Melissa's aware of who her husband is.
I think had it stayed in their relationship and how Joe kind of has his snappy moments on Melissa. First of all, this whole argument is beyond to me. You know, at the end of the day, I see where Joe was saying when we started this together, you know, Melissa used to take me everywhere. We would do events. It was us. We were in it together. And now she wants to kind of branch off as her own identity. And she wants to be able to do what she wants to do and have personal growth. I understand that because he's super old school and he feels a little left behind. However, at the end of the day, it seems like he kind of gives her ultimatums. Like, you need to be home. You need to work less. And for her, that's not flying anymore. She doesn't like that. But I think those are personal conversations that they can fight about, and they can fight about in front of the group. And the group shouldn't really chime in. But when Joe came to Dolores and called her a broken woman, the rest of the women, I think that's when you invite. That's when
commentary.
Commentary. Yeah. And somebody should have stuck up. Dolores doesn't need anyone to stick up for her, right?
I love Dolores.
I love her too.
I freaking love Dolores. I love her. I want everyone, like, I'm over here like, leave Dolores alone with her ex-husband and her doctor and her life that's just working out the way she wants it to. And just leave the woman alone. I love Dolores. But yeah, she had every right to flip out. I mean, if somebody was like, you got divorced and now you're broken, it's like, are you kidding? Are you kidding me right now that a woman is broken because she gets divorced when somebody cheats on her? Stop it right now. Stop it. So it was fair for them to call him on the carpet. And I I get where Melissa Gorga's coming from. And I actually have a tremendous amount of empathy for her when she's like, look, I was home, I raised kids, you built your career, I just turned 40, and now I'm ready to reclaim who I am as an individual human. I get it. I'm a mom with 2 kids. I'm 43 years old. I understand what that is like to be like, no, there are different phases of my life. Sometimes when you are mom, and that is all of the phase of your life, and you are driving kids, and school and friend groups revolve around your kids. And at some point you're ready to reclaim like who you used to be before all of that happened. And I see that for her, and I'm happy for her, but it feels like Joe is not trusting her the way that he should. Cause she's like, I'm ride or die for you. Just be ride or die for me. I don't have to be next to you every minute to still be ride or die for you. Cause I still think she loves her husband very much.
Well, and the biggest question is too, we obviously see that I don't want to say, everyone else is kind of calling this marital problems because they're trying to navigate this new phase in their relationship where he really has to get over, this old school mentality, right? He just has to support his wife the same way she supported him. But now I'm curious to see, Dolores has already pointed out, if you don't speak up now, I can see where this relationship might go very left very quickly.
Right.
And not only that, we have Danielle Staub. You remember her, right?
Who doesn't?
Okay.
Engaged 19 times, prostitution, whore. Who doesn't remember this shit? Table flip.
Okay. So we remember Danielle Staub. She's been doing this. Honestly, I think it's sad. I don't have.
If you say OnlyFans next, I'm going to fall over.
No, my God.
You're like, she's been doing this. It's really sad. I'm like,
no. She records herself and she sits there and she like dances out to the side and she has the camera rolling and she records herself watching each and every episode of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. And she sits there like this and she's like, no, this is how that went. Oh, these girls are so sad. I would never put myself out there. This is pathetic.
She's live reacting?
Yeah, she's live reacting. She's like, they act like animals. I would never act like this. I'm like, girl, do you remember your
lies? The lies with your ponytail pulling self. The lies.
Yeah, and not only that, how secure are you when you have to have another woman who's like, pull her hair and you go and do it? Like, come on, set an example. But the audacity. Is, she went on and she said in one of these, what did you call it? Live reactions. She said in one of these
She's jealous of us, Adam. She wants to be a YouTuber.
Yeah. Hey, Danielle Staub, you can come join us because I know the cooking show is not working.
YouTube's a lot of fun.
Live reaction videos. And she said, I have tremendous amounts of respect for Joe Giudice. I think he's a great father, and I don't like the Gorgas. And honestly, the Gorgas have something else coming to them, and that's all I'm going to say. And then fans were like, what do they have coming to them? What's going on? And she's like, okay, since you're pulling it out of me, I'm going to talk about it.
Oh my God, I've been asked. All of you asked me what I'm using today on my skin. So many of you have been asking me. Yeah, great.
She says that Joe is making dirty money, just like Joe Giudice was, Joe Gorga is, and she's alleging that he's a part of this Ponzi scheme and that everything is about to come crashing down on them very soon. And it's like, this is huge. You can't just go out. They're public figures. Can you go out there? I mean, this is where I need a lawyer to speak on this, because can she just go out there and throw out that this couple who, I mean, they're very public figures at this point, that they are a part of an alleged Ponzi scheme and all of their money is dirty? Can she say that without any ramifications?
Well, the ramifications would come from them taking legal action. And it would have to have had A, malicious disregard for the truth, B, because now we're talking about defamation, it would have to have some kind of monetary damage. However, in a lot of jurisdictions, accusing people of committing crimes is defamation per se. It's like, no, defamation's about damaging reputation and then it having business fallout or other types of monetary damages. And so alleging somebody's committing crimes, well, it's not alleging, you're stating somebody's committing crimes in a way to damage their reputation can be enough that you don't have to show malicious disregard for the truth, and you don't always have to show damages. So it just depends on their jurisdiction. But lawsuits are time consuming, expensive, public, and sometimes if there are shards of truth in there, you might not want to rattle that hornet's nest. So it becomes litigation is not just like, I can sue you, let's sue. It's very strategic deciding if that's going to happen and if it's actually damaging you. It might just be that Danielle's reputation is such that she's wrecked herself enough that people are like, oh, but we don't really believe you. And if that's the case, it'd be hard to show, oh, well, people actually believed her and it hurt their reputation. It might just be that her reputation is so bad that nobody's really going to take it as truth. They're going to take it as, oh, she's gossiping again and just spinning tales.
Well, a lot of fans were saying that. They're like, we don't believe her, but she did say, you know, I don't care if she's like, if the Gorgas want a piece of me, you can pretty much come after me. If you're calling me a liar, call me a liar, but say it. She's like, because I don't care. I'm standing in my truth. They're a part of an alleged Ponzi scheme. And
yeah, you can't stand in your truth when your truth is defamatory, though. It's like, I'm standing my truth. I'm just going to say shit. You can't just say whatever you want to say about people. Society has rules and there are boundaries to defamation. And if that is happening behind the scenes, then we will see it. But when I see Joe and Melissa, I see people who got married young and whose marriage is going through these natural ebbs and flows as you go through different chapters of your life. Chapters before kids, chapters when your kids are small, chapters when your kids are older, business ups and downs, and, you know, COVID ups and downs, because now it seems that her business is doing better than his. These are all things that take time to sort. So I'm not really that worried for them, because if they still have love for each other and they're willing to work, then it should be able to work. We'll see what they do.
Okay. Well, since we did mention the infamous ponytail pull by Danielle Staub, I want to bring up Margaret Josephs and celebrate the fact that her man, after 10 years, finally got the shit done in the house. The house was great.
Can we talk about how good Margaret looked as Morticia?
She did look great.
She looked
great. I thought the renovations looked great too. The
renovations are
very Jersey.
They are. And it's like, I'm like, oh, respect. Like, I'm very boring. My house is very boring. I'm not snazzy. And I'm like, that's a lot going on. I need more clips of the house so I can like take it all in. Cause when they just pan through it, I'm like, there's a lot going on here. I need to see, I need a tour.
It's like true. Yes. Bravo TV, give us the house tour of Margaret Josephs. I'm sure they will, especially when she's all done with everything. But my biggest question is anybody ever going to hire Joe Bignino or as a contractor again, knowing that it took 10 years to do 4 rooms?
I think it took 10 years because he would get another job and stop working on it and be like, this job's not paying, that job is.
Oh, okay.
Take the jobs that pay. That's how I interpreted it. Not as it was taking so long, but as paid jobs come up, this job goes on pause and those get finished. That's kind of how I read it taking so long. I thought she looked great. I really enjoyed everybody's costumes. I thought everybody looked great. I dug the costume party. And I have to say, I've had thoughts about Jennifer Aydin, lots of thoughts, but when she's just last week when she was just decorating her house and bringing in the new furniture, which I agree with, and she was kind of not super glam, hair down, I'm like, Jennifer looks a lot better to me when she is not over the top glam. I feel like the way she's glamming is aging herself. And she just looked so great just in her house with her kids with just light makeup and hair. And then you see her at the party. I'm like, yeah, you look great in the dress, but it's a lot going on.
Well, that's not only that's not the only thing that's a lot. The fact is, Dolores pointed this out, she kind of reminds me of a college frat or sorority kid who goes in and they're just like, let's drink as much as I can so I can get up as fast as I can. And then when we do, party's on. And it's like, well, then all of the eyes are looking at you like you're a little out there. You're crazy. You can't handle your alcohol. You seem messy. I mean, she doesn't care, though. She's like, I'm at home with my kids, even though you have nannies, housekeepers, and everything in between. I'm at home with my kids, so when I get out, I let loose. It's like, yeah, you do.
How old is Jennifer Aydin? Do we know?
Oh, my gosh. Somebody, if you guys know.
Is she the young? I feel like she's the youngest in this group, and with some of them substantially younger. I also feel like Jennifer Aydin. Pardon?
I thought Melissa was the youngest. Do you think Jennifer Aydin is?
I think Jennifer is younger than Melissa.
Guys, comment
on Google things, but I think Jennifer's younger. But I also feel like Jennifer is also having an identity shift where she had lived a much more traditional role and had lived a culturally traditional role. And that being on the Housewives, she's like, no, I wanna be me. Like, oh, she's 44.
44. Thank you, Kim.
She is older than, because to me, like she reads to me and she looks super young. Her husband's a plastic surgeon. I was getting late 30s. And I'm like, she's just turning it up because she never got that opportunity. And that's how I feel like Jennifer Aydin is living the 20s that she never had. Thank you, chat, for letting us know she's 44. She does not, because I'm 43. She does not hit. And clearly she's doing a lot more than I'm doing. I need to.
Okay, you don't need to do anything, but you know, it's
the eye. It's the eye. It's the tired. That's the problem.
Me too. It's kind of like Heather Gay though on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. She said, I grew up Mormon, and then all of a sudden, like when I went through my divorce, I was like, woo woo, like coming out, and I'm gonna live my best life and do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I can see where
that's the vibe I get from Jennifer Aydin. Like the kids are old enough that if I'm hungover in the morning, it doesn't matter. Like my husband doesn't care. I get the sense that she really just wants to turn it up. I think most moms have had that moment. She just keeps having those moments. I've had one or two where I'm like, oh, that was not a wise mom's night out. My husband's like, what happened to you? I'm like, tequila, I think. I don't know. But the last time Emily decided to turn it up like she was 20, I think I was hungover for like 3 days. I'm like, oh, right. I'm 40. This is never happening again.
I went out with Jason to this outdoor like tiki bar with a friend the other day, and I went to the bathroom, and Jason was getting something out of the car, and our friend was like, I'll order your drinks, and ordered 2 Long Island iced teas. I was like, am I 12? Do you think tequila, rum, and vodka all in the same drink? Do you know what that, do you want me to, I'll Teresa Giudice this bar. You don't want to give me that. And then I slowly sipped it and I switched to rosé. I was like, no, thank you. I was like, unless you want to see this dragon arise, like I'm the Phoenix or some shit, you don't want me to be drinking Long Islands. And I feel like it's important to obviously know your limits, and it's okay to have slip ups, but it seems like for Jennifer Aydin, she uses these cast events as her way to kind of just go all the way there. Her drinking,
and I feel like she thinks that's her value. Like she sees that that's her role. She's like, I am going to be the messy one. Like I'm waiting for her to have her Luann fall in a bush moment. Like Jennifer's the one. Yes, she did. Jennifer's the one that's going to hurt herself. But she's like, what, they love Sonia Morgan. I'll just do that. I feel like it's not accidental. It's intentional. Because with some housewives, I would be like, oh, is this being socially awkward around the cast? Is this going a little too far? No, this is intentional. She's like, hit that tequila now, bitch. I'm getting turned up. I'm like, really? That's what
she isn't even on a mixer. She's like, just straight tequila on the rocks. I'm doing the damn thing. But she's something to celebrate. Did you see that Yellow Canary Diamond?
I mean, it was something.
9 carats. How much do you think? I mean, this is all speculation, of course, but I don't shop for jewelry. I'm so simple. I'm basic. How much would a diamond like that in your mind probably cost? Like,
like a lot. It's not unusual for rings like that to near the $100,000 range, but she's also said she has family in jewelry. So it wouldn't be a stretch for me that she's doing this stuff wholesale and really getting these at a much deeper discount than one would expect. Because she said, what? My family's jewelers. And I'm like, then what is with all the Chanel? Like Jennifer, I think, is a beautiful woman and just adds too much. Like I am flashing back to like Tyra Banks, like OG America's Next Top Model. Like, you're beautiful girls. Take it all off and just be beautiful girls. And I want that for Jennifer Aydin, and it's never going to happen. She likes to be gaudy.
Well, she's the ever-changing, face and body. She has the plastic surgeon husband, but she's not the only one who continuously changes themselves and who's unapologetic about it. Dolores is the same way, and Dolores has had her butt done, all kinds of things done, and now she's getting a thigh lift. She's not stopping, and she doesn't care what anyone thinks. Even when Dr. Bill's like, Dolores, this is ridiculous. Or not Dr. Bill, Dr. David.
Dr. David.
Dolores, this is ridiculous. She's like, I don't care. I'm not married to you. Drop it.
Yeah, my body.
My body, my choice. I'm doing whatever the hell I want to do. Stop asking me about it.
Yeah, this is me and tattoos in my 40s. My husband's like, more tattoos? I'm like, More tattoos.
I'm actually going to go get a tattoo soon to cover up this little scar. I was thinking about getting like a little palm tree or something. So
Awesome.
Like this. I mean,
I love it.
I don't know.
I love a good wrist tattoo. These arms are very bare. There's lots of room left. There's lots of room left.
See?
Love
maybe
it.
Okay. And or maybe like a wave. And I was gonna say when some silly person, because they always ask you, what does your tattoo mean? I was gonna be like, it means go with the flow, motherfucker.
It's the best. It's the best. But yeah, the yellow diamond was definitely a thing. I thought their engagement story was much more interesting than actually getting the ring. I loved hearing that. I also liked seeing them sit down and celebrate their marriage with their kids. I thought that was a really cool moment. I thought it was a reach that they were trying to bring out the first course for the children, and they're like, we're not eating this. But I thought it was a cute moment with their family. I really do get the sense that they dig each other. And Jennifer, there's times I'm like, what are you doing? But I don't dislike her. I'm definitely entertained. But their engagement story was literally Dr. Bill like asking her dad and being like, okay, now you're engaged. I'm like, oh, it's so interesting to me.
You're like, wow, the culture. You know what's so funny is my family, my dad had an engagement party and we were in Tennessee in this like little podunk town called Sequatchie. It was only 3 miles long and there was nowhere to get a cake or anything. So we had to go to the local Piggly Wiggly. I'm not even kidding.
I love a Piggly Wiggly.
We went to the Piggly Wiggly and we got this cake and we're like, it's for our parents' anniversary. And they had this big blown up banana in the produce section. And I asked them, I was like, can I buy that off of you? And the manager, since it's such a small town, she's like, why do you want that? And I was like, well, it's my parents' anniversary and my sister's not going to be in town. So I was just going to like kind of make a joke and stick it in the seat. And she's like, oh my gosh, as long as you bring me back pictures. So we got this cake from Piggly Wiggly and this blown up banana. And I'm just thinking like, this is a very low key version compared to a yellow canary diamond anniversary. But you know, we all beat to our own drums, I guess.
We do low key anniversaries around here too. I mean, we're coming up on 19 or 20 or something this summer. And we just, I don't know. There's just such a solidness that we do celebrate our anniversary now with our kids and share stories about our marriage and what we were like before we had kids. And it's just, I liked seeing that with them. I mean, the over the top jewelry they love to show on the show. Jennifer loves to show it on the show, but I think it's not everybody's. It doesn't have to be everybody's relationship, but
no, it's not technically.
We love Housewives for the bling, right? That's what we love. It's like MTV Cribs, but a full season of it all the time. So
that's why everybody sat down on Leah McSweeney. They're like, you don't bring it. You don't have that, you know, like that amount of wealth and, you know, like the high end jewelry and all. I mean, honestly, a lot of fans really get frustrated when they do bring on new housewives who don't have that glamorous lifestyle because they say, we know what our life is like and just kind of trying to make it by and figure it out in the world. But we want to see the rich of the rich. We want to see how they live.
Lifestyles of the rich and the famous.
See?
And the thing is, though, some of these housewives stretch to get there to the lifestyles of the rich and the famous. And that's not what anyone wants to see. We don't want to see the stretch. We want to see like the Kathy Hilton stupid wealth. I would love to see more of the housewives' houses. I also want to see a spinoff with the Housewives Husbands of New Jersey, because for all the things that I have not liked that Joe Gorga has said, because there's definitely time, like I would be that bitch fighting with Joe Gorga at a party being like, no, don't talk to my husband. You talk to me. I'm the one who's going to scream at you. But I love seeing that group of guys together. And I love seeing Dolores and Frank together. And I feel so bad because when Dolores and Frank and Dave and the kids are all together, I want that show. Like I want that. They're fascinating.
So I want to talk about that for a second, Dolores and Frank, because when Jason asked me because I watched the show last night and then I rewatched it this morning just to know what I was talking about. And Jason asked me, do you think that Dolores and Frank will ever get back together? And I said, honestly, no, I think there's too much hurt there, but I think she's so strong and just, she knows like, this is good for my family. We have a working relationship, friendship where it's just good for us. We don't have to really define it. I don't think that they'll ever be in a marriage again, but I feel like he kind of treats her like an older brother, younger sister at this point. It's interesting to me, but I want to know your thoughts. Do you think that they ever will? And guys, also comment in the chat too. Do you guys think that Dolores and Frank will ever get back together, or do you think it will be a friendship for the rest of their lives?
Yeah, I love seeing their friendship. And I think there's a lot to be said for people that can be in your life that you don't want to be with romantically, that are still like a kind of a soulmate friend. And I see that with them. I do think there's too much water under the bridge for her to trust him in a relationship again. Otherwise, it would have happened, right?
Right.
It's kind of like Kourtney Kardashian and Scott Disick. It's like, I think a lot of us are rooting for Scott Disick, but there's so much hurt there that they're going to have to just be okay to be co-parents and friends, and they're going to have to navigate how hard it is when somebody's dating somebody new. The fact that Frank is like buds with Dr. Dave like cracks me up. The fact that Dave is such a caregiver to when Frank had his surgery, I was blown away by that, how much he loves her kids. I think they have a very stable and though non-traditional kind of healthy group dynamic. The kids seem to be really happy with the dynamic. They seem to be happy for Dolores. I really don't give a shit if you get a ring or a Porsche. She seems happy and secure. And a ring, we've learned this enough. Just because you have a ring on it doesn't mean you're secure in your relationship. It doesn't mean somebody's not stepping out. So I think for Dolores, she thought she wanted that. And we're like, oh no, I don't want necessarily the ring. I want the feeling of security. And I think she has that. I really do.
I know, but you know, and I agree with her too when she tells all of the women, like, I don't have to define this to you. I'm good. My relationship is good, you know, but they're all trying to figure out, you know, why don't you have the ring? And they think that that's what she needs in order to be secure. I agree with her. That's not what you need. However, can she continue to be in this relationship with David long-term, living in her house with Frank? Will that work out?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that works for her and if that works for David, maybe. But I don't know. I really don't know. She seems grounded and she seems settled and she seems secure. For the other women to say you have to have an engagement or a marriage to be secure, I just think is disingenuous. I don't think, I mean, just because you have a marriage or you have a ring or whatever, I don't think that means your relationship is somehow more secure. I don't. But I also grew up with a lot of gay friends before gay marriage, and they're like, no, we've been together, 15, 20 years. We don't need to be married to be together. So I don't know. I just don't think that. It depends on the people involved, and the older you get and the more you've been through, especially with her going through a marriage that broke because of infidelity, I just don't know if if that institution, if that piece of paper is the security for her. I think she thought it was, and I think the other women traditionally think it is. I think Dolores is happy as can be, and I think she gets to be. And if she wants to walk away, she can. If she wants to move in, she can. I also don't think you have to move in. You have to be engaged to move in. If you want to go live with the doc, go live with the doc. I think she doesn't want to be in the house alone when he's working all the time.
I agree with that. And I never really thought about it, but I kind of have my own sort of Dolores situation because Jason and I have been together for 7 years, engaged for 4. And trust me, I have to debate with him all the time. Why don't we get married? And I'm like, my parents were married so many times. I feel like it's good. We're good.
But there's that word married, because you guys are together. You are solidly together. You are partners. You are husbands. It doesn't really matter if you have a wedding certificate that says you're married.
I've had his family, my family. They all say all the time, they're like, oh, you're engaged for 4 years. You're cool. Like, why don't you do something about it? I'm like, hey, why don't you go into the fridge, pour yourself a nice warm glass of shut the hell up and get out of my business, because it has nothing to do with you. I get frustrated because I'm like, if I want to get married, I will get married. And they get mad at me as if I'm taking something away from Jason. And it's such a frustrating conversation.
Y'all have been married and divorced enough for 7 lifetimes. So don't put that on me.
Yeah.
We're together. This is my husband. It's fine.
I'm like, focus on your shit. But I agree. I agree with Dolores. She's the same way. She's like, focus on your shit. And I think that's why, let's kind of segue here into the Halloween party. It's Job and Nino's birthday and they have this Halloween party. And before I bring up that Dolores used the analogy, and it was a better analogy than what Jackie used for Gia.
It's a season of analogies.
It is a season of analogies, but she, got frustrated with this poll that they took about her. So then she said, Melissa, what if I took or brought up a poll with all of the women and said, do you think Melissa and Joe Gorga are going to work out? Before we jump into that, I want to know, out of the costumes, Jackie and Evan, Sunny and Cher, who else? Margaret and Joe, who were Morticia and Gomez. We had Jennifer and Bill, Prince and J-Lo. Then we had Teresa Giudice, who looked kind of like a jacked up cotton candy, My Little Pony. I don't know what
it was not working for me.
It was not cute, but okay. I would have thought she would have brought it the most. Like Halloween, I'm going back to old school. Guys, don't rip my head off. Old school Mean Girls, like Halloween is a time for all of the girls to put on their sexiest outfits. Like, go ahead. I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to look sexy on Halloween. You can do whatever you want. And the idea of thinking somebody has to, whatever. But
the thing is, Teresa looks so good.
She looks so good.
Looks so good. The cotton candy unicorn thing just wasn't it for me. She should have come as a body painted pineapple. It would have been epic.
Oh my gosh.
A green wig and just like a yellow bodysuit
with like pineapples here and then one down here and just like this kind of like green, like poison ivy sort of thong, like bottom. I thought, listen, she should have come as a pineapple. What the hell was she thinking? And who's her team? Because we need to get on this shit.
Yep. Call us. Her tagline is like, it's never tasted so sweet. She's played into this cheekiness about her own sexuality this season. Play into it. Come dressed as a pineapple.
Not My Little Pony jacked up cotton candy.
No. Bodysuit, pineapple, green wig. It would have been everything. But
Teresa, you missed a mark. But Melissa Gorga didn't, because the Gorgas, I mean, say what you want about
Gorgas looks good.
They're a sexy little couple over there. And I only say little because Frank was joking that Joe Gorga is 5'2", but they're like a good looking little couple. And
Frank taking the piss out of Joe Gorga for his size slays me every single time. But Frank is such a big meatball.
I love that they can do that though too, because Frank gets it from everybody. They're always, I mean, this group of men, and I think that's why all of the fans love them, and they're the favorite house husbands. It's because they can really, like you said, they can take the piss out of each other. They can roll with the punches. They all just, I mean, they bury one another all of the time, and they do it with love and just out of fun. So I really love watching their dynamics.
I do too. But with Jersey though, a lot of them have really a long history with each other. Like when Joe says he's known Dolores since she was 5, they have a very long small town history with each other. And that comes through because they know their boundaries with each other. And I think Bill's the one that struggles to find his place in that group. And sometimes Evan too, but I think Bill struggles to find his place in the group. I'm surprised they haven't come to Bill and been like, you need to stop talking to your wife about everything. Like Bill, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, Bill. Come on. There's a little bit of a code.
I did agree with Bill in this finale when he was telling Joe Gorga, when the women are talking, sometimes listen, that's very true. And Joe Gorga does not like to be wrong or for someone to size him up, no pun intended, but he does not like that at all. You know what I mean? He really doesn't. He doesn't enjoy it. And he got pissed off. He was like looking at Bill like, why don't you shut up? And Bill's looking like, okay, I'm talking. I'm a surgeon. I'm not a fighter. I've seen how angry you can get. I'm going to shut up. I'll shut up.
And that's probably, I think it's probably been a long time since anyone's told Bill to shut up. I would imagine that doesn't happen in his life very often. And
it was like when Ramona in New York called Bethany stupid. And she's like, okay, well, I've been called a lot of things in my lifetime, but stupid's not really one of them. Yeah. It's like, that's the same thing I felt for Bill. Like, yeah, you're right. A lot of people have probably not told him to shut up.
And Bill, I think, was right and was trying to I think Bill was trying to help Joe see, you're not under attack. They're trying to be heard. So if you just listen, then they will stop. Just hear them. And Joe's like, there's no hearing anything. But also, those aren't conversations to have when drinks are involved. So
that's true.
We were talking about costumes and we got far afield because we started talking about Teresa's pineapple. So
we have to pick our favorite.
We have to pick a favorite. I want to know the chat's favorite too.
Yeah, guys. Exactly. Go ahead and comment below. Thank you, Emily D. Baker. Comment below and let us know who your favorite costumes are. If you missed them, just to remind you, we had Margaret and Joe as Morticia and Gomez. We had Melissa and Joe as a mermaid and merman, even though he kind of looked like a little like modern caveman. We had Teresa Giudice, who looked like My Little Pony cotton candy crossover. And then we had Jackie Goldschneider and Evan as Sonny and Cher. And then not to forget Dolores and Frank. Frank was the exotic Joe from Tiger King.
It was great.
Dolores just looked like she got hit by a car.
She came broken.
Oh, she came broken. Was that what she was trying to do? Was there?
I don't know, but Frank made the joke about it. They're like, "What's Dolores?" He's like, "You know, she's an accident victim. She's broken." So it might have been.
NeNe Leakes came to Atlanta as the cockroach after Kim Zolciak's daughter Brielle said she had cockroaches in her house. Okay, clever play. I see the housewives taking notes from each other.
Yep. So I think, and she just an opportunity to wear a bodysuit and show off that body. So
yeah. And that
she looks great. They looked great. Who was your favorite?
If we're going based off of couple-wise, who killed it the most, I would say Melissa and Joe. Overall, I thought. No, honestly, I would probably say for out of all of the women, I think Melissa's was my favorite, just because I thought it was cute, it was fun. It still was mermaid. It was on brand. It wasn't just an excuse to show her abs. I thought she looked beautiful. I think she took the cake. Dolores had a lot more going into it as far as like the props and everything. I mean, she's walking around with this like I don't. But
she showed up as Katie Heron. Like I thought Halloween was supposed to be scary.
Yes, I love the Mean Girls reference.
She kind of missed it. I thought Marge and Joe were my favorite.
Okay,
Marge and Joe were my favorite for the night. They were my favorite couple for the night. I didn't understand the J-Lo Prince connection. Like I would have loved to see like Bill Aiden come as like A-Rod. Like go like what? Because I think when they were filming, J-Lo and A-Rod were still together. So
not Ben Affleck.
Bennifer, take two. I don't know.
That's another conversation, but
yes,
I hope not.
I hope not. But Marge, I really think they looked as a couple. They looked great. I think Marge looked great. There wasn't a ton of drama at the party. I don't know. It was the producers got a little shady in the end credits or the end story, which was it's always fun for me seeing how they give what the ladies are up to.
I forgot, what did they say about all of the women? I forgot. It was what was the shadiest part that
it was interesting. Like Jennifer and her mom still weren't talking, which I thought was interesting. They threw a little shade at Melissa and Joe. It was just they had these little kind of shady.
Her toughest job is still being Joe's wife.
Yes, they had these little quips in there, and I was like, touche, production.
And
I love that.
Joe's complaining about all of her business endeavors, and now they've been there. Melissa Gorga starting a workout line. I'm like, well, here we go again. We're gonna have a little pissed off Joe. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, the thing is, Joe wants to be supportive in the way he wants to be supportive. He's like, what? I built you a studio in the house so that you're here. And she's like, I need to do this the way I want to do this. And that's where I think there's tension there. And I hope they work through it. They have young kids. They've been married a long time. But I think playing those things out on TV is hard. And before we wrap, I know we're almost at an hour, but what did you think of the teasers for the reunion? With Jennifer Aiden going off on Marge.
The fact that they're pointing fingers and saying Marge was the one who came up with the Jackie Goldschneider's husband rumor. And Teresa Giudice, she teased this on Watch What Happens Live before. Andy Cohen said, where did you hear this? And she said, okay, well, I'm not going to tell you who, but it was one of the other girls in the group. And then Andy Cohen's like, okay, great. We're going to talk about this at the reunion. I was like, this is going to come out.
But then it makes sense that Joe would have heard it too.
And it makes sense that, Joe even said at the table that night on guys' night, I heard the rumor and, I have a lot of women in my house talking about it. It's like, boom. All fingers do point at Marge and Joe. And I'm sorry, I like Margaret too, but they do point at them. And I think that that's going to be a huge whack in the face to Jackie, because at the end of the day, this was another baseless rumor. Listen, if you and I've had this happen before to me. There was a person who had to get fired from the restaurant the place that Jason and I worked at before, was a manager, wasn't really working out because he was under a lot of influence of stuff and would fall asleep in the place and just like do whatever he wanted, whatever, got fired, then started bashing a lot of the people that I ran around in circles with. So one day, like an idiot, I just commented under the post and I was like, do we really need to do this? And I should have just kept my mouth shut. But boom, I opened myself up and he's like, oh yeah? And then goes around and starts telling these baseless rumors to everybody about stuff that's going on in my relationship. And I was like, bitch, if you're going to say stuff about my relationship, then come to me with receipts. Because if you don't have receipts, then shut up.
Yep.
If you don't have it's baseless then. If you don't know what you're talking about, if you can't show me something, you're just a bitter, I don't need to keep cussing, but that's what
you do. I'm
bitter.
here. We curse. What is Marge's tagline this season? Doesn't it tie into her stirring up a little bit of drama?
I'm something, and sometimes instigating.
Yep.
What was it?
I'm just pulling it up. The chat will get it before me. Did you see the taglines for Beverly Hills?
Yes. I thought that Kyle Richards ripped off LVPs for sure.
Totally ripped off LVP.
And I thought Erica Girardi's the strongest element in the world is not diamonds. It's me. It's like
your sense of delusion and
you better hope it's your
very
defense.
Strong.
Girl, you better hope it's your defense. Better hope that's the strongest element in the world, not you.
So Margaret is I renovate, elevate, and sometimes I instigate.
Yeah, well,
she's telling on herself.
I'm gonna use Tom Girardi's saying to LVP in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills when he said, or no, it was Erica Girardi. She's like, I feel like you're a sniper from the side. Margaret Josephs kind of feels like a sniper from the side in this.
If this is true, this is definitely side sniping, and it's just not a good. And it's just it will. Well, I reserve my right to change my mind after seeing the full thing. But she was sitting there with Jackie, like, let's have the sit down here. Was that so she could control the narrative? Was that so she would know if Teresa told Jackie, look, I heard it from Margaret?
I didn't even think of that, but that's probably exactly what she was doing. That's exactly what she was doing.
And then she was like, what happened? What happened? Oh my. It's like, you planted the story and spun all the shit up. And
you put your producer's cap on and you stirred the shit up.
And with Teresa, you know how to wind her up and let her go. And Teresa doesn't mind. She's secure enough in her place on the show that you can wind her up and just let her go and she'll do it.
Well, Jennifer Aiden came out and said that Teresa originally gave that story to her to drop. And Jennifer was like, I don't want any part of this.
Right. Jennifer's not been on the show as long.
Well, that's why Teresa took it into her own hands. And she's like, you know what? Fine, I'll drop this ball. But at the end of the day, these women, if you don't know, there are no secrets. So if you plant a seed or whatever, and then this person is getting shit, there's only so much someone can take before they're like, you know what? Just to say to all of the haters who have kept on like reaming me for this, I just repeated it, but it actually came from this housewife. And then boom, it's like what happened with Portia Williams, Phaedra Parks, and Candy Burris. Portia kept holding, that weight of, you had this sex dungeon, you did this, you were trying to drug me. And then all of a sudden the reunion came and, Andy Cohen's like, where did you hear this? And she goes, Phaedra. What?
Yep. It's crazy. And it's the thing is, have their lives gotten to the point where there's really not anything organically going on and there needs to be manufactured drama? Because that is manufactured drama for no reason other than storyline.
I mean, and I don't mean to, at any point when you have to get off, just let me know. I kind of want to segue here for a second because that's what people are saying. Are you watching the new season of New York?
I watched, was last week the first one? I've only seen one episode.
Last week was the first one and this week was the second. You have to watch the second one. It was really good.
Was it last night? Is it tonight?
It was Tuesday night. Today's Thursday.
This is how my week has been.
Well, that's okay. When you get downtime, you'll have to check it out. But a lot of people were annoyed because, and I even had a chat about this yesterday, and then I started reading more comments about it because I was like, are people really annoyed? Because some of my callers were saying fans think that Leah McSweeney using religion, saying that she's converting to Judaism is, a bad play on her story. Yeah, because her parents are not even Jewish. So people are wondering, like, Where is this coming from? Why now? It's not like you got married to a Jewish man and he's wanting you to convert. What made you make this decision? And she didn't really touch on that too much. She just said, you know what? I'm converting. And she's like, I like rules. No, you don't. That's why you went in somebody's backyard.
Aren't
and
her
throwing your
parents Catholic? It's got rules. There's a lot of rules.
Her parents are, but she chose, I mean, so fans want to know, and they think that this is just her pre-manufacturing these storylines. And that goes back to what you just said. Aren't your lives interesting enough? And if they're not, let's get somebody new in here who is. So there are other women out there. We don't have to keep bringing up the same women who have shit going on in their lives, whether it's infidelity, divorce, new businesses, celebrating their marriage, celebrating
federal indictments,
federal indictments. So maybe there's an off family, like let's bring it to Love and Hip Hop where, you know, this relationship is good, but the mother-in-law hates your ass. So every time she comes around, she's like checking you. We can find someone. I mean, this is Jersey. They're all very abrasive personalities. They say and do whatever they want. Yeah, it's not that hard. Same thing with New York. I kind of find it interesting that we're running with these same narratives as if New York is not like the epicenter and we can't find bigger, you know, personalities who are authentic to their storylines. Like Bethany Frankel, all of her storylines were authentic because her life is just success and chaos, and it's interesting. And she just talks about, you know, all of the shit that's going on in her life. Her 7-year divorce. She has a new man. She has multiple businesses. She's
renovating apartments. Her ex is still living in an apartment. I miss Bethany.
She has a new show on HBO Max.
I don't have HBO.
Oh, I'll send you my password. No. Okay, just kidding.
We're not pirating HBO. But no, I've been needing to add HBO back. I really enjoy Bethany, but yeah, I understand that COVID is a thing, but also they're in New York. They're in a dynamic city. New York got hit so hard with COVID. Like shit has happened. I didn't understand the Judaism thing. And look, if she had done like a 23andMe and was like, can we look at my genetic makeup? This says that I'm this, and I want to reconnect with, you know, whatever it is. I would be more like, yeah, girl, go get it. But it's just an odd drop. And it's like, oh, I'm not going to drink and I'm going to convert to Judaism. It's like, okay. I mean, Trisha Paytas is running this storyline on social media. Are we now ripping what YouTubers are doing? Are we just pulling plot lines from YouTube? Maybe. At least she's engaged to a man who's Jewish.
Hey, and you know what?
Someone from Israel.
Someone just said in here too, Tara, I don't want to butcher your name. She said, Leah's trying to be interesting. I have found interesting people don't have to try. That is not the one I was talking about.
But maybe, a good point nonetheless.
Yeah, Ashley Otley, maybe Leah wants to marry a rich Jewish man. I mean, honestly, who actually knows what the case is? But what we do know is she's using this as her storyline. And we really liked Leah last season, or some of us did, because she did stir up the group. She wasn't that sort of like...
No, she shook the snow globe.
Yeah, she shook the snow globe. She would drink. She would get crazy. And
she would get naked.
Fired, and like ripping out the tiki torches, running around naked. That was interesting and a funny watch. I mean, at her expense, but that's what the Real Housewives do. Now watching sober Leah, she has to figure out something to do, because I think it's almost impossible to be a housewife and go to these events where they're like alcohol, more alcohol. And I've seen it in person.
Yeah.
Where they actually, and I think I've said this to you before, they will get you, they call you in for your call time sometimes, even 30 minutes to an hour before. They're like, you know what, wait by the bar, and then we'll let you know when it's your time to go in. And then the women sometimes, or the cast members, they'll be like, are we ready? Like, you told me 3:30. And they're like, it's okay, just have another drink at the bar.
Have a drink.
Back. And then all of a sudden when they go over and they talk to them and they see that they're a little like, woohoo, they're like, all right, let's send her in. Yep.
Is Leah going to have a Denise Richards season where she's trying to undo the last season? Is this like her 360 of, I know I was this last season, but we're not doing that again. Here's who I am now. I wonder if she's trying to just separate, like, don't expect me to bring this storyline. I don't know with Leah. We'll see.
I think they should, honestly, and I hate to say this, I think they should maybe can Leah, bring Dorinda back. I think Dorinda is heavily missed. And not to mention, they just announced today that New York is having one of its lowest rated seasons ever.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
There's like, I enjoy Sonia, but Sonia can't carry. Sorry, Sonia, I love you, but Sonia can't carry New York on her own.
And there's only 5 women, and really to get like, it's not enough. You know, Richie Guy said this before on a collaboration that we did. He's like, you really need 7 women. Like Beverly Hills this season is going to be great because we have all of the women, and it's so many different dynamics happening. But when you have 5 and they're trying to get along, and there's not really that much drama, but they're trying to manufacture the drama, you feel it a lot more than having those extra 2.
The smaller cast, I think, worked well in like early days New Jersey when they had so much interpersonal dynamics that weren't put together because they were a cast. Like those were interpersonal dynamics, family, friend group, in kind of a very deeply connected friend group. So there was drama because they all knew each other so well, but that's not something you can just manufacture. So then you need more women to have more different dynamics in it, and you need something to happen. But we'll see. I missed this week's, so I guess we'll get back and catch up and see what the ladies in New York do. But I don't know. Did Dorinda didn't leave? She was let go, right?
They felt like she was getting a little bit too aggressive with her drinking, and there was some from what they say, there was some unseen moments that were caught on camera where she was just really getting in some of the other cast members' faces, especially Tinsley, and she was making them feel uncomfortable. And at the point that you take it from like doing it for the cameras to making people feel like they're not physically safe, you become a little bit of a liability, and they have to do something. So what they told her was, we're taking you off for a season. We're giving you a break to collect your thoughts and get your shit together. And then maybe we'll entertain the idea of bringing you back next season, which we know for a fact, for sure. She even said, you know, being a housewife is like having a tattoo. It's like being a part of this members only club. And when you're in it, you're just in it, and it's hard to get out of it. And they asked her, would you ever come back? And she gave us that old never say never. So she'll be back.
Yeah.
And
she's interesting. We'll see what happens this season. I don't have high hopes. I don't have high hopes. A lot happened in New York, and we're not really seeing any of it. So
yeah. Well, with that, Grandma Scary, thank you so much for the super chat. We miss you. Tree's picking another Joe. I think he's a little bit nicer, but
everyone apparently is named Joe.
Yeah, everybody's named Joe in Jersey. But guys, with everybody in the chat room, if you haven't already, go ahead, show some love. Smash that like button. And I want to personally thank all of the Law Nerds for showing up, for Emily D. Baker, and for even coming onto my channel. And
the Law Nerds love our chats. They love it because we don't get to branch out and just talk TV and pop culture, because it's so much just covering legal stuff. So it's such a pleasure to get to come and have a chat about something different. So I thank you for having me and for continuing to have me, and
always
for the hospitality. And the purple sign is just, I'm loving the neon. It looks so good there.
Do you think I should put some cherry blossoms right here?
Oh, you totally could. I have a cherry. These are cherry blossoms. This one is cherry blossom.
I was like, you're not holding anything.
Nope. This tattoo has cherry blossoms.
That means that it's meant to be.
You totally could.
And you already have them. I was thinking to just have them branch out, because I have this purple light down here, and I was like, it would be cute. It would light up the cherry blossoms, and then I don't have this gap over here.
Mm-hmm. You totally could. But the sign is just, it's everything.
Hey, thanks. And, you know, when I text you, and I know that you're super busy and you have so much going on, you're not only a mom and a wife, and you have a successful YouTube channel. I don't take these chats for granted. So as always, I just appreciate you even joining me. Before we go, if anyone's living under a rock and they haven't seen how successful and amazing your channel is, can you at least let them know where they can find you?
Absolutely. I'm all over the internet at the Emily D. Baker. On the YouTubes, I do legal commentary, mostly in the pop culture space with a whole lot of cursey words. And on other aspects of social media, we do all kinds of stuff. And that's where I do kind of quick takes, hot takes. I've been doing more reels on Instagram that have been really fun. I've been doing like the legal, like how quickly can I distill what's going on in these lawsuits? And that's been a challenge for me, because normally I have long form content, and that's been really fun. Some YouTube shorts, all of that. So the Emily D. Baker all over the internet is where to find me.
You're busy. Coffee and cursey words.
Coffee and cursey words Tuesday, Friday Night Live on Friday. And then I'm streaming this evening with 2 other lawyers, and we are doing kind of YouTube journey criminal law deep dive because Nate the lawyer is a former police officer and former district attorney. Natalie lawyer chick is a defense attorney and I'm a former prosecutor. So we're pulling together kind of all the aspects of criminal law and just having a chit chat. I'm sure we're going to talk about this Zoom call with the gentleman whose name was very raunchy. If you haven't seen that, it's on my Twitter and on my Instagram.
Check that out.
We'll talk about it off air. People know what I'm talking about. So it's going to be fun. But thank you. That's where to find me. You guys don't forget to give Adam a like and thumbs up. And if you're law nerds over here and you are my Bravo fan law nerds, Adam's got all your tea. So be sure to subscribe and stay because he's got all the deep dives and the interviews. And I can't wait to come back and watch that interview that I haven't seen. So with Fallon.
Hey, I appreciate you. And guys, also I'm dropping 2 other new videos right after this within the next hour. And tomorrow we're going live with Pops. Pops is going to pop off on pop culture. And we always give 100% back to the vets. We've raised over a couple $1,000s now, so it's great. And then we'll be posting the receipts later this month of our give back. So that's awesome. And I just, again, thank you so much. Thank you guys for liking and subscribing. And thank you, Emily D. Baker. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time. Bye. All right, guys, so make sure that you go and not only subscribe to my channel if you will, I appreciate you, but also go subscribe to Emily D. Baker. If you haven't already, she has the best content. She's always busy, and she really breaks down the legal jargon in a way that at least I can understand. So if you're not a lawyer, maybe it'll help you too. I'm not sure. And also, guys, again, don't forget to catch us tomorrow. Dropping 2 videos today. We'll see you so very soon. And thanks for everybody for the super chats. You guys are the best. We love you. Bye, guys. Bye, bye, bye.